Have you ever felt stuck, purposeless, frustrated, out of alignment in your life? If yes, you're in the right place. I'm Pratna and you're listening to Rebel with a Purpose. And in today's episode, I've invited Fiona, who is a human design consultant, and she's going to share some light on different types of human design and what that means for each and every human design type. So I recommend that before this episode, you find your human design type, and you'll be able to do that by clicking on the link below, putting in your date of birth, place of birth, time of birth as close as you can remember, and your full name, and that's all you need to figure out your human design type. Once you know that, this episode is going to add so much value to you. So please, please, please listen all the way through, even till the end. There is so much golden nuggets in this episode. I can't wait for you to really like get something out of this and implement it in your life right away. So let's get right into it. Hi Fiona, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for being here. Such an honor to have you on my episode today.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Okay, awesome. So to start off, would you like to introduce a little bit more about who you are, what you do, and what's your passion?
Yes, so my name is Fiona. I'm originally from the UK, London, and my career background started off as a data analyst. And now I am a human design consultant. I work with entrepreneurs or anyone looking to change career paths, but are being held back by fears of being seen, fears of judgment, fear of failure. And I help them work in alignment with their natural abilities and their natural strengths to achieve their career goals quicker and more sustainably.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing. I love human design. I discovered it a few years ago. It's changed my life. Like it's like helped me accept myself a lot more, because before I would always struggle with, why am I like this and why do I not fit into this corporate world? And I would like keep questioning things. But now I'm a projector, so this
Yeah.
coaching industry just feels so aligned with me. But before we move on to that, for some of our listeners who don't know what human design is, how would you describe it in the easiest way possible?
Okay, so human design is it's not designing humans like most people think. It's actually it's a self-knowledge system based on ancient wisdoms such as the Kabbalah, the Tree of Life, the I Ching, also astrology and quantum physics. And this system shows us that we all have a purpose here, and we're all perfectly designed to achieve our purpose here. So I always say we are all designed to be successful. And when we learn how to work with ourselves, we'll get there quicker and yeah, more sustainably and more efficiently. So that's the brief overview of human design.
Mhm. I love that we are designed to be successful. That's
Yes.
amazing. I've never thought of it that way. And then now that I see it like from my perspective and looking at being a projector, it just makes so much sense in my life. So, what would you say is the most common can you explain more about like the different types of human design and
Mhm.
certain differences among them or the nuances of each of them maybe?
Yes. So in human design, there's five basically archetypes. They're like the main outer layers. And then within each archetype, for them, everyone's very different. So we've got different, so let's say generators, for example, it's an example of a archetype. Within that, no generator is the same. We have different talents and different energy centers on and off. And so yeah, we're all very different, but I'll just explain the most outer layer. So we've got generators. They make up about 33% of the population, I think, from
Okay.
memory. And we're the doers, we're the creators. We get energized by doing the things that we love, that light us up. So it's really important for generators to say no to the things that don't light them up and say yes to the things that do. And be really careful of the shoulds over wants. I should do this for the money, or I should do this to be a good friend, or I should do this to be a good daughter. That will drain us if it's not lighting us up and energizing us. And it also drains the other people involved. So it's never selfish for the generators to say no. So that's like the main thing with generators. And I'm a generator myself. So when I'm talking about human design, when I'm working with clients, doing human design workshops and events, I'm getting plugged into the socket, like I'm being charged up. And it's like a sustainable energy.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the manifestors, and they make up about 9% of the population, so a bit more rare. And they're more of like a leader, movement creator. They drive things forward. The analogy I give is they're the train drivers, and they're driving from London to Paris, and they're going there. And then the rest of the population or anyone else at the train station gets on their train, or they don't, and they wait for the next one. But the manifestor is going. They're going in that direction. They're driving that way forward. So they're like the visionaries, the leaders, and they can struggle. They have a more selective aura because they're so powerful. So they struggle more with, or they experience more rejection usually than most people, because it's like you're either with them or you're not. You want to go with them or you don't. So that's just something to be aware of. But I always say to manifestors as well is rejection is not bad. It's natural. The universe is naturally filtering people in your energy field, so you're not wasting your time. So imagine you've gone through like 5 business calls, and then by the last one, the client or the sale or whatever says no. This like selective aura prevents that from happening. So people are either with you or not, and that's great. So we want to be grateful for any rejection. It just means, okay, they weren't aligned, and I now don't need to do anything about it. I don't need to waste my time about it. So
Yeah.
it's not a bad thing. So it's like reframing how we see that as well,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
that can also affect your confidence and prevent you from showing up and things like that, being scared of that. But if we perceive it as it's a blessing, it's actually protecting me and saving my time, it's a good thing. So
Mm-hmm.
that's with manifestors. Then we have the manifesting generators, which make up about 37% of the population, I think. And they are hybrid between the generators and the manifestors. And the key with this type is that they have so many different skills and abilities and passions and projects, and they're usually working on about 5 different things at once. Maybe they have multiple businesses, maybe they have multiple projects, maybe they have multiple hobbies, and they struggle with like just sticking with one. And they can be hard on themselves for not finishing things. They start writing a book, and then they have this desire to start vlogging, and then they have this desire to start a YouTube channel, and they're just jumping, and they don't finish the book. They jump onto the next thing, and they can be really hard on themselves. Why can't I just finish something? I started this, why can't I just finish it? And comparing themselves to the generators who are more steady. Generators kind of like they have their way, they're more of a long distance runner, they're a bit more steady. And the
Mm-hmm.
manifesting generators are like the circuits class. They're doing
Uh,
this activity, then this, then this, and this. Um, but they are designed to have all these different passions and projects going on, and it's okay not to finish things for them. If their gut is guiding them towards something new, they get really excited about a new project. That's what they follow. They don't follow the logic of I started this, I have to finish it, because otherwise it's not going to look professional, or I'm going to look behind, or I'm not going to be keeping up with my peers, or whatever it is. If they get this excitement from their stomach to drive into the next thing, they go to it, and they would have learned something from the first thing they started. Maybe they learned a lesson, or they learned some wisdom, or whatever it was, the experience it gave them, and they can always jump back to it. But the key is to follow their excitement and their stomach guiding them over like I need to finish.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know so many people like that. Now that you say it, like a lot of my clients also who are manifesting generators have had that struggle where they like keep jumping to. I know two of my clients literally right now, we were having conversations lately where they were talking about how they keep jumping projects and they never get done with one thing or the other. But how do you like, you're saying that it's okay to not finish or to move on. But how do you like achieve anything then? If you just move on midway or don't follow your gut, which I understand, it's I feel like it is a good strategy to still like follow your excitement or gut, because the thing that you're doing right now is boring you or it's not like feeling that exciting anymore, so it doesn't make sense to continue doing it because you're not going to do it with the same like energy. So it makes sense to okay, go
Mm.
do the thing that's actually exciting you the most right now, but then at the end of the day they don't really achieve much, isn't it?
So the manifesting generators, they're described as like the jack of all trades. So whereas the generators, for example, are more of like the master of their thing, and they're like they've got their thing and they become really, really
Yeah.
good at it. And it's that their thing. With the manifesting generators, they're taking in all these different skills. So I don't know, maybe they're a life coach or something, but they're doing they're qualified as like a breath work practitioner and yoga and something else and nutrition
Hmm.
and all these different things. And it's like all these different, and they bring it all together. So they might not have finished something, I don't know, writing their book at that particular time, but then maybe they started a new project and then they go back to their book afterwards and they've got even more to add to the book, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So they can still get there in the end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's like they're bringing in lots of different skills and knowledge, and it's a
Yeah.
lot more broad, and they should be like happy and proud of themselves for being a jack of all trades. And I know a lot of the time, especially in the business world, we're told niche down, niche down, niche down, and
Yeah.
that is limiting. It's limiting for the manifesting generators. It puts them in a box, and they're not supposed to be put in a box. They are supposed to have all these different things and bring them all together, and they can just name themselves an umbrella term, like I don't know, manifestation coach. But this manifestation coach helps you with money management. She helps you with self-confidence. She helps you with all these different things. And then she has that umbrella
Yeah.
that
Umbrella.
help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for explaining that. That was really well explained.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Okay, who do we have next? The projectors. So the projectors make up about 20% of the population. Oh, this is you. Oh, yeah, I should have read it. And these are the wise guides. And they're very good at seeing into people and into systems and really understanding things from a higher perspective. And the analogy with this is that all the other types are we're in a forest, and all the other types are on the ground, hunting, gathering, getting food, finding safety. And the projector is on a branch on a tree high up in the forest, and they can see the quickest, most efficient way to get there.
Hmm.
And that's why they work best as guides. They work very well as coaches, consultants, managers, people kind of directing and guiding, and really seeing people, really seeing deeply into people. So it really makes sense that you do what you do as like your guide, and you see into people. Um, so that's with the projectors, they work best by being invited because they have this higher perspective, higher wisdom sometimes that the rest of us on the ground, in the forest, aren't always ready to hear. We're not always ready for it. So it's really important that the projectors make sure that their wisdom and their insights are invited and they're welcome. So you can just ask, I can see there's a better way of doing things. Would you like to hear my point of view or my opinion? And just always start with that, because otherwise it can cause some friction. Who needs to tell me this? And like, oh, that's ridiculous or whatever. So that's important.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like looking at my past experiences and everything that you're saying is so aligned. It's crazy. Like, this has happened to me. Like, there was once this time where, like, I was working with a client and I feel like I probably did not ask for permission when it came to, like, guiding her. And she did get ticked off with it. And she told me after the session that, I felt like you were being unempathetic. And I've never been called unempathetic before. So I was like, oh my God, that's the first time someone said that about me. But now I see that, like, I wasn't invited to guide her at that point of time. So maybe I, should have asked for permission or should have let her talk. So I kind of related it to that situation.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It,
that makes
it's
so
a
much sense.
and it's really like a life-changing switch. How you show up and communicate and operate. That can be the difference between a client or not, or for example, or a
Yeah,
relationship or not, or any aspect of life. So it really, once you learn this stuff and learn how to operate with your energy, it can really change energy exchanges and
yeah.
success.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the other thing that's coming up when you said like waiting to be invited, right? It's like there are times where like I force opportunities because it's on my vision board. So I'm like, okay, I have to get this done now this year. And I kind of force the opportunity, but it never works out. Like there's so much resistance and friction every time I'm like, no, I have to get it done. And then I realize like I'm not even invited. Like this is not like an invitation. It's me making like me forcing the outcome. And I keep reminding myself that I'm a projector and I know it's not about being passive, it's about like still taking opportunities. But the fact that I'm forcing the outcome or pushing so much Whereas as compared to a point where, I'm just putting myself out there and people are like coming to me and inviting me to talk on stage or inviting me to DJ or whatever other things I do, right? Instead of that, it's like me like reaching out and keep and going on like pushing, like, can we do this now? Following up 3, 4 times, and it drains my energy so much. And I
Yeah.
decided to like stop doing it. Like I decided to only like go to places where I'm appreciated truly, and also put myself out there like more so that people see the value I have. So literally like recently itself, I kind of canceled on a gig because I didn't feel like I was very appreciated. So
Yeah.
I just like canceled. I was like, no, this is not it. Like this doesn't feel aligned anymore. And I
Yeah.
literally canceled on that gig. And I feel like that gig was also something that I forced because it was on my vision board.
Yeah, yeah, and that's such a good point. I really want to bring this up as well because sometimes projectors can get, I don't know, frustrated or upset learning that this invitation is needed. Um, but how to work with this energy is that you need to show up and be seen. So there's just putting it on your vision board and just sitting there and waiting for the invitation. That is also not going to get you very far. Like you need to be seen. People need to know that you're the girl. They need to see that you're the girl that has the skill and the knowledge and the experience. So they need to see you online, in person, networking events, um,
Yeah.
anywhere. You need to be seen. So yeah, I don't want projectors to just feel like, okay, well, I just have to sit here and wait now. It's like, no, no, no. You go out, you show, and then when you're showing up in your highest expression, and it's really in alignment, you're really passionate about it, and you're really doing the thing that really lights you up, and all those things, then opportunities will start to come to you, and then you can say yes or no. And it's important to also say no, like you did, because then it can drain your energy, and then the next day you show up for a coaching session, and then you don't really have it in you to hold the space because you drained yourself from the night before from yeah. So it's also important to be selective as well.
Yeah, yeah. And as projectors, we also have that inconsistent energy, not like a generator where you have that sustainable energy flow, right? Like we need like a lot more breaks, or our body itself signals when we need a break, and that's the time when we should like take it immediately.
Yes. Yes. So if there's any projectors here that are in a 9 to 5 or trying to work like a 9 to 5 person, it's not so aligned for you. And it's really important to listen to your body. They advise like 3 to 4 hours a day of delivery in terms of working. And then the rest of the time you can, maybe plan, organize, work on other things, like work on your skill. But in terms of if you're really like delivering a workshop or delivering with a client or really like that really active work should only really be 3 to 4 hours. I mean, you have to listen to your body. And then rest and recharge. And your projectors are very efficient and they're achieving just as much as the generators that are doing the 9 to 5. So that's also important to not try to keep up with them because you feel bad. Like, why am I not doing as much as them? Or yeah, you're different. You're designed differently and on purpose.
Okay, oh my God, wow, that's so interesting. Like 3 to 4 hours of delivery sounds like perfect for me. Like
Yeah,
I actually feel like I can't do more of that. Like I feel drained after like 3 coaching sessions a day. Like three
yeah,
coaching sessions a day is the maximum I could do.
yeah, yeah. So these boundaries are so important, and then you'll be able to show up for the next day as your best self.
Yeah. Okay, that
Yeah,
makes.
that's the projectors. And then we have the reflectors. They
Mm-hmm.
make up about 1% of the population, so they're quite rare.
Oh my God.
And their energy body is completely undefined, which means it's open to receiving energy from the external world and they then amplify it. So what that means is that they're reflecting. Basically, they're reflecting their environment, the people they're around. So if a reflector is in a very toxic environment or toxic household or a toxic place, they are going to be showing that and operating like that too. And then when they're in a really healthy and happy and vibrant and healthy place, then they will also be showing up in that way. So their role is to reflect back to us as a collective, as the group, how we're doing. And it can be very hard for them because obviously they're taking all this energy and it's exhausting and they do need a lot of alone time to recharge and empty out that energy that they're absorbing in. So that's the reflectors.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that's wild. I didn't know reflectors was just 1% of the population. That's insane. So if a reflector's in a toxic environment, then they would feel that toxicity completely in their body and they would be reflecting that back into the world.
Yeah, yeah. And that's their roles that they're mirroring us so we can see how we're doing. And they can be quite triggering for the recipient, because they're showing us the dark and the light. They can be quite triggering, but also quite eye-opening and inspiring.
Wow, that's insane. Oh my God, that's amazing. So we covered the five types going from generators, manifestors, manifesting generators, which is a hybrid of generators, and manifestors, projectors, and reflectors, right? Oh my
Yes.
God, amazing. And for those who don't know how to find the human design, I know there's a link. I'm gonna add like a link of the human design map also to the podcast.
Mhm.
But what would, I mean, I know the answer, but I want you to tell the listeners what is required for you to find your human design or for you to know what your human design is.
Yeah. So for your human design, you need to know your date of birth, your time of birth, to the minute if you can. If you don't have your time of birth, I would say you could just maybe put 12 p.m. and the main energy type, like the archetype, would most likely be the same, but maybe the gates within that, which are your like natural talents, might be a bit off. So for real accuracy, if you have the minute of your birth, that's great. And if not, it's okay. The outer layer will be pretty accurate. And the location. So including city, because some within some countries, different time zones. So
Hmm.
that's all you need.
Okay, and so you said if someone does not know the exact time, they can put 12 p.m.
Yeah, and that would it won't be so the outer layer, like the generator manifest, that bit would be most likely correct. But the really specific talents within inside the chart would be different.
And what if someone knows that like they're born 5:30 a.m., but they're not sure whether it's 5:30 or 5:40 or 5:50? Like, what would you suggest them to also put 12 p.m. or should they just put like 5:40, like somewhere midway?
Yeah, somewhere midway, and it wouldn't change too much. It's
Okay.
yeah, there might be like one gate that might be different.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So they have like an idea of like the hour, then and the
use
hour,
the hour
like yeah. Okay, cool, cool. That makes sense. Yeah, that's what
as
I
close as they can.
as close as they can to the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Awesome. That's amazing. How would you say knowing your human design benefits you in life? Like, how would you, in life and in business, how does knowing this benefit you?
Okay, so much. I can start with communication because that was my turning point. So my story was I really, really struggled. I had the most such bad anxiety with public speaking, and I don't just mean on a stage. I mean in front of a group of people, and even in front of like a group of family. In any type of group situation, I had really, really bad anxiety about speaking.
Mhm.
Um, and yes, there was a trauma. And when I was younger in school, I maybe put my hand up and said something, and everyone laughed, and there was obviously a trauma happened. Um, and then I worked through that, but then it's learning how I was designed to communicate as well as my strategy to help me communicate. um,
Mhm.
and I saw when I learned human design that I am designed to speak intuitively in flow through storytelling. And I was trying when I started a health coaching business just before this. And I was trying to show up in this very factual, like this is good for your health and this is why, and very factual. And it wasn't landing so well. And then when I learned this, that I'm designed to speak intuitively and through it and flow through storytelling, and I changed the way I communicated and the way I marketed myself, so much changed and people really felt me and resonated with me. And that's not just in business, throughout life and my relationships and everything. So that's something that my business actually developed and birthed and is successful because of my public speaking, which is really crazy. It was like my biggest fear became my biggest strength. And that's like all my clients come through public speaking at the moment. So that's
So,
crazy. Um, and that, yeah, learning how to operate, and especially in business, because I'm working with entrepreneurs, it's like how you market yourself, how you show up, how you structure your day, all those things. If you're doing it in alignment with yourself and your own abilities and your own energy flow and your own strategy, you're going to get that quicker. And instead of trying, you see someone else on Instagram and she's doing all this stuff and she's operating in this way, and you're trying to be like her. Sometimes if it's not aligned with your actual energy flow, it can be damaging and hold you back. Trying to communicate in a way that's you're not designed to communicate, or trying to maybe you're projecting. You see in your other friends as an entrepreneur, and she's like working all day constantly, and you're like, wow, she's so successful. And I can see she's successful because she's at it all day, but that's how she's designed to operate and not you, you know? So,
Yeah.
yeah, working in alignment with yourself.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, that's amazing. Like, yeah, I feel like it has helped me so much. Like, as I said in the beginning, like with accepting, self-acceptance, that's been a huge thing. But I loved like your story about your communication being your biggest fear. Now it's your biggest strength, which actually helps you attract more clients. Like, that's amazing. So I want to move on to the next question, which is, do you think people use the human design as an excuse sometimes to not like, for example, like one of my friends was having this conversation with me like a few months ago, and she was like, I don't like getting too deep into human design because I don't want it to limit me in the sense
Yeah.
that she was like, I don't want to use it as an excuse to not. Like, for example, I'm a projector and I need a lot of breaks. And I've always been in my toxic masculine. So in a bad way, like I have pushed myself, not taken breaks, never listened to my body, burnt out, had physical health symptoms. And now it's like whenever my body is like needs a break, I take rest, and I actually might be taking more rest than I should be taking. Or
Yeah.
when I feel creative and inspired, I'm still like, nah, I'm a projector, I just need to rest a little more. And it's like, do you think there's a point where like we use it and it limits us in a way?
Well, this is a really good point because I think this is one of the biggest fears around it is that it's limiting. Like, you're this, you can only do this. And that is absolutely not the case. You can be whoever you want to be, you can do whatever you want to do. It's just when you're working in alignment with yourself, you're just going to get there quicker and it's going to be more sustainable because you're not going to burn out, for example. So, I mean, if you're using it as an excuse, I think that's like something separate. But if you're using it with good intent, and
Yeah.
you're following your design, you're just working with yourself instead of against yourself, and that's not limiting. That's going to get you further, you know. And it doesn't mean no, because I'm a projector, I can't work in an office. Of course you can, but you just work differently and you try and arrange your calendar in a certain way that suits you. So it doesn't mean no, I can't work in an office, or as a manifestor as well. No, I can't create the thing. I have to be the leader. And you can, but you just have to be in a more independent role because they're very autonomous and independent. So it's just working with yourself to get there.
Okay. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and when you spoke about the corporate, I was also thinking like managing expectations with like your boss and other people in your
Yeah.
office so that they know that this is how you work and they respect it.
Mhm.
And I have worked in like workplaces where they didn't respect that. Like they just wanted me to, I was in Singapore. Maybe that explains a lot.
Mm.
But I was in a place where like we were hustling from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Like literally every single day. I would like wake up at 7, go to the office, work from 8 to 8. And I remember
Wow.
once I was in the office and I put my head down for a bit, and my boss was like, "What are you doing? Like it's working hours, you can't sleep." And I was like, just like putting my head down to rest because I was having a headache. And I realized that like I was just so not efficient. Like I was so out of my element. And I remember how miserable I was. And my dad used to say this thing where he was like, don't judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree. And I always felt like during the corporate, I was
Mm.
during that kind of, I'm talking about the rigid, structured corporate, I was like a fish in an element where everyone else was just climbing trees. And I was
Yeah.
just like, I need my water. Like I need out of this. Like this is not
Yeah.
it for me. So yeah, when I found out my human design and I got deeper into what it is, and I actually found out after I started coaching that this is my human design, and then it kind of was like a reaffirmation that I'm in the right space and I've followed my purpose and I've followed my body. And the entire 2024 was me like like leaning into my feminine more, so leaning into my body more, understanding how my
Yeah.
body works and just trusting the signals that are coming up in my body. And it's been a really beautiful journey, but it's so new for me. But I feel like all of this started for me because of human design. So I am so appreciative of
Oh,
human
I love that.
design. Yeah, I just like I have this huge love for it. I've always wanted to learn more about it. So I wanted to ask you, like, where do you think, like, if people are interested in this, right? Because I know it's a combination of, you said, multiple things, including astrology and the Chinese philosophy also. So where can we learn more about this? Because that's actually one of my biggest struggles is that there are so many like free resources out there, but there's also like a lot of paid resources, and I'm just like, I don't know if I don't want to do something free because I want to be committed to it. So I don't mind paying for something, but it's like I don't know what I should do, and I really want to learn more about the gates, the energy centers undefined and defined. Like I understand that defined means you're more solid in it, and undefined is you get influenced by others more in that element. But like I feel like there's so much more depth to it, and I want to get deeper even with myself first and then with my clients. So where would you
Mm.
say, like, if anyone wants to learn more about this, where should be the first place they go, whether that's free or paid?
Yeah, I think podcasts is an amazing thing because they're
Okay.
free. And
Yeah.
one I would recommend is by Jenna Zoe.
Okay.
And what I love about it is that they're very like, it's not like educational, it's more like applicable, like real life stories, real life situations, real life stuff that we're going through. And then at the same time, you're also like learning yeah.
Yeah.
So I would really, really recommend that because that's free resource. Um,
Okay.
if you wanted to, so I work with people either one to one through like a private coaching container where you learn about yourself, and we can, identify all the conditioning and the limiting beliefs and then help you step into your natural abilities and energy flow and help you achieve your goals. But if you wanted to learn from like a leadership perspective, I am also in the process of creating a leadership program where you learn about everything. So not just you learn about all the different types, and then you learn how to manage people per their type, basically,
Oh
and
my
learn how
God.
to work with each one. So that's also an option as well. There aren't too many like great books and like things that I've come across really, to be honest. um, but yeah.
Okay, so you said the human design with Jenna Zoe. It's that one, right?
Yeah, that's a really, really good podcast. And I just love that it's so real and applicable.
Okay, I'll definitely check that out. And it's so lovely that you spoke about like what you have to offer, because on the leadership one sounds amazing. Like I might hit you up for that because I want more details on that. But this is an amazing way to also like, just wrap this up. How do people like work with you? You can talk more about these two containers and how can they like hit you up and like talk to you more.
Okay, so you can put like my information below after this, like my Instagram and website and stuff.
Okay.
Um, if people wanted to just have a session like a one-off, it's called a human design analysis session. So I look at your chart with you and we see, where you're vulnerable to conditioning or limiting beliefs and energy to be like influenced,
Mhm.
and then also like your main strengths. And then we can kind of see the gap between where you currently are operating from and then versus your highest potential and what that looks like. So that's a one session. And then I have the coaching container, which is a private coaching container for 10 weeks, where we go through your entire chart and we look deeply into things and do the reconditioning, deconditioning and then rewriting things and helping you step into your talents. That's a quite intense container. And yeah, this leadership one isn't live just yet, so I can give you more details afterwards, but that would be a group training.
Okay, wow. Like the one session also sounds amazing, and I love the 10 week to go deeper into it. That's amazing. Oh my God, your offerings are so exciting. But
Thank you.
yeah, thank you so much for all the wisdom. Like, I feel like I've learned so much just by talking to you on this episode, and I'm definitely gonna have you come again to get deeper into all of these different types because I just want to learn more and more. But yeah, thank you so much, Fiona, for being here today and for giving us your golden nuggets. It was amazing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was really nice.
Okay, awesome. I will see you on this episode, on this podcast soon again, but take care for now. Bye.
All right, take care.
Well, that was the end of this beautiful episode. Fiona's filled with so many golden nuggets. It's insane. I learned so much from her just in this one episode, and I hope you did too. Let me know how you felt about it. DM me at Purpose with Prarthana to let me know your thoughts on this podcast and let me know your thoughts on my page. I would love to have some feedback because I'm a projector and I do need your feedback. But thank you so much for being here. You're listening to Rebel with a Purpose, and I am Prarthana signing off.